Hello there. Welcome again. Once again, here we are. This is video what, 20? Video 20. Uh, we've been in the book of Genesis. We're up to chapter 6 now, the Noah, the flood, the fallen angels that have come. Just going to recap a little bit. Uh, Noah was 500 years old before he was able to have sons and daughters, and the reason was because in those days there was fallen angels that came down. They didn't go through what God had ordained to happen, that man would be born from woman, from the womb. They didn't go that route. They just came down and laid with women, and the women had their kids, and things really got out of hand, out of control. The world had gone pretty bad. God says that all of man's thoughts were evil, and that's all that there was in the world. And these angels had basically taken over. And that's why Noah was 500 years old before he could have kids, because it took him that long to find a wife that had not been had by these angels. Okay, she was pure, he was pure, and the kids come out pure. So that's the reason. Now, the last segment, I went to verse 19 of chapter 6 after reading about Noah and the ark where God has them coming in. Verse 19, it says, okay, let's start with verse 18. God speaking to Noah, it says, "But with thee will I establish my covenant." He's telling Noah, he's told him that he's going to build an ark. He's going to get rid of all flesh. Okay, everything that we have heard. This is going down. And he's telling Noah, build the ark. Here's the floor plan, the blueprints, do it. Okay. Verse 17 says, "Because when you do this, I'm going to bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that in the earth shall die. But with thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou, thy sons, thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee, and the very living thing of all flesh." This is verse 19, the one I asked you all to keep in mind. "Of all flesh, two of every sort shall thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female." Those two of all flesh were two of every race that was in here. Okay? That flesh is flesh, human flesh. So it wasn't just Noah and his family. He brought in two of every kind also, including the bad people. Okay? Verse 21, "And take them unto thee of all the food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so did he." Noah was very obedient. The Lord said, "Do this." Yes, sir. "Do that?" Yes, sir. "Don't do this?" No, sir. No problem. Noah found grace in God's eyes. Okay? So now we go on to verse 7. "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." Now what we don't see here is that it took Noah a long time to build this ark. In those days, they didn't have construction companies with cranes the way we do today, where they can erect a building, 100-story building in a year. No, in those days, they didn't have tools. I mean, they were very blunt. And the way that they had to build this ark out of wood took an extreme long time. So you can imagine Noah is working out there. I'm sure he's got some helpers, some people that he has employed to help him. They're building this ark, and the people are passing by and saying, "Look at that idiot. Look at what he's doing. The water is 100 miles away. Why is he, you can't, and once he gets through with it, how is he going to get it to the water? It's too big. You can't move it." So I'm sure that Noah heard all this during the time that he was building the ark, but nevertheless, God said, build the ark. So he's doing what God said to do. And it comes to in our lives. There's a lot of times that through the word, you feel that God is exhorting you to do something or not do something. And you might talk to somebody about it. and they'll tell you the exact opposite. So what do? What you feel that God is having you do, or what somebody has said no? This is where Noah kept doing what God told him to do. But the opposition comes. Satan is always there to oppose what God's plan is. Okay? So, chapter 7, it says, and the Lord said unto Noah, now the ark is built. It's finished. All the food is in there. All the stalls are built. It's done. It's ready to go. Okay, so God says, okay, come on, Noah. I want you, all your house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, and male and female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his females. Of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive on all the face of the earth. For yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy off the face of the earth. And Noah did according to all that the God had commanded. Now, if we go back to chapter 6, verse 19, he says, God is telling Noah, and of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. This is where he had to bring the other people with him. It doesn't mention that here because God already mentioned it over here. Okay? So Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters was upon the earth. So I'm thinking that it took Noah about 100 years, because he was 500 years when he started having sons, when the Lord came to him and told him to build an ark. So I'm thinking it took him 100 years to build this ark. That's something. 100 years, day in and day out. All you're doing is working on one project. So Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth, and Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beasts, and of the beasts that are not clean, and of the fowls of every living thing that creepeth on the earth, there went in two unto Noah, and to the ark, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass that after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day entered Noah, and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with him into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went unto Noah into the ark 2 of all flesh. Verse 15, and they went in unto Noah into the ark 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. These flesh are the ones he's talking about in verse 19 of chapter 6. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God has commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. Okay, so we see that all of the animals went in. And then at the end here it says, verse 14, it says, they and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into Noah into the ark 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. They were the last ones to go in. All the animals went in, and then 2 of all flesh went in with Noah. Okay, and they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him in the Lord, and the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth, and the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of the fowl and of the cattle, and of the beast, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, and all that was in the dry land died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. 150 days is about 5 months. You take 31 days per month. So we see that Noah's in the ark. He's gone. Everything, all the people that were left, and all the animals that were left that were not in the ark are dead. Now this is me speaking again. I'm sure that in those days there were some people that had boats and had maybe big boats and that were able to survive the flood also through the boats. You know, if you had a fishing rod, a fishing pole or whatever, even a spear, you could live off the fish in the ocean. But Noah had food that God had told him to take with him. So they were prepared. 150 days is 5 months. The 5-month period is very important. You need to be on the lookout for this 5-month period because it will be repeated again and again all the way to the end. Okay? 5 months. So what time we got, Paul? Are we almost at the point of getting
12 minutes.
Amanda?
We're at 12 minutes.
We're 12 minutes into the segment. Oh, really? Wow. I guess I read pretty fast in there. What I want you to see here is that it was Noah, his family, and he had two of all flesh, of all people. And then he had the animals, also the clean animals and the dirty animals that God told him to take with him. God could not let these hybrids that had not been, how do you say it, conceived the way that they were supposed to be conceived by God, had to get rid of all of these. The Nephilim is what it's called in the word. They were not part of God's plan, so God had to get rid of them. And this is how he did it. He brought the flood in to get rid of everything that was not part of his plan. So what I'm telling you now, God has a plan, and his plan is not going to fail. And he's not going to change his plan for anybody, for you or me. Okay? It's up to us to fall into God's plan or to step into God's plan, to be part of God's plan. You can sit here or stand there and tell me all day long that you have problems and that why is God the way he is? Why does he allow this to happen? Why does he allow that to happen? And you can rebel all you want. But when you fall in, if you have come to the feet of Jesus, you don't have a choice. You now belong to the Lord, and it's in your best interest to follow that way. Fall into God's plan. I hear so many people talk against what's happening in the world, and I'm going to allude to something politically here, and well, not only politically, in the school systems, the banking systems, the whole one worldism that people are talking about. All of this is part of God's plan. I'm not I used to be involved heavily in politics, but and maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, but anyway, I want to say what I've got to say because it's all part of God's plan. Wherever we're at right now in the world, see, they tried to mess up God's plan in the days of Noah. Okay, so God took care of that. Because why? Because he has a plan. Noah and his wife were pure, and so were their kids. So the bloodline for Jesus continues. They have not been with any filthy thing or unclean thing in God's eyes. Noah found grace in God's eyes. Was he perfect? None of us are. None of us are perfect. If you want to attain perfection in the flesh, it'll never happen. I don't care who you are. But you can have a perfect heart. And even though you make mistakes, your heart is what God sees. So Noah had a perfect heart. Was he a perfect man? He was righteous. He obeyed God. And that's what we need to do. We need to obey God and realize that whatever's happening in the world right now is part of God's plan. And he's not going to change it, because the end result is going to be the end result his way. And I want to be there at the end result. I want to live eternity with the Lord Jesus. I want to be where Jesus is. There's so many people in today's in the quote unquote world of Christianity. They bring you in and they immediately begin teaching and preaching what they call is the truth. Now there is some truth that is being preached. I'm not going to say that everything is a lie. But if you belong to a church and they're telling you that the Lord Jesus is going to show up in the clouds and the trumpet's going to blow and you're going to be taken away in the air, you're going to be quote unquote raptured away, and you're going to go to live in glory land, and then all hell is going to break loose on that, but you're going to be with Jesus. That's nowhere in the Word. Just like there's nowhere in the Word that it talks about Adam and Eve eating an apple. That deal about the rapture, there's nowhere in the Word. And we will take you through the scriptures that totally contradict that in the Word. But yet, 99.9% of Christianity today teaches that there's going to be a rapture. The church is going to be raptured away, and then all hell is going to break loose on earth. That's not what the Word says. When Jesus comes, he's coming. But Satan is coming first. And these 150 days that I was talking about here in the Word, that I said this 5-month period goes through and through, Satan is going to rule and reign for 5 months. Things have to be done that way, because the Lord is setting us up for his plan. Okay, so these 5 months that I've talked about here, they're going to come up again. And the end of the time of this earth age, Satan will rule for 5 months. And if you look at the world right now, him and his people, Cain's offspring. Cain is Satan's son, and all of his offspring, they're called the Kenites. They're basically ruling this world. It has become worse than what it was in the days of Noah. And it's going to continually get worse. Everything political, the school systems, the monetary systems, the religious systems, it's a mess. And it talks about Babylon, the harlot, the mother of harlots that sits on 7 hills. What is Babylon? We're going to learn all this. You need to stay focused on the Word of God and realize that if you have come to the feet of Jesus, continue there. Stay there. Seek the Lord. Spend time with God. Spending time with God is never foolish. It always counts. God loves to spend time with you. Let me just run this through because I've got to get out of here. Your parents, your normal parents, natural parents, or if you're a parent and your kids, if the only time that your kids come to you or you go to your parents is when you need something, If that's the only time you go in and you need something, or if you're a parent and the only time your kids come to you is when they need something, how does that make you feel? I mean, if they don't ever come and spend time with you, they don't tell you they love you, they care about you, they spend time with you, they let you know that they care and they love you. God needs that too. Okay, so the only time you're going to God is when you need something in prayer. God already knows what you need before you even ask Him. Spend time with the Lord. Spend time with God. Tell Him you love Him. Thank Him for everything that He gives you every day. Okay, that's extremely important. Above just about anything else, that's extremely important. So I'm going to leave you on with that. We're going to continue when we get back. Thank you for watching. Take care. Lord bless. Love you.